Hi, ShineSparklers. It's not Lucy today for Halloween. It's my alter ego, Lucifer. I had a nickname of Lucifer when I was in high school, not only because it is an offshoot of my name, but also because I was kind of like into heavy metal and I had a goth phase. So, tuning in as Lucifer today to teach you about marketing. Welcome everybody. This is video number 7, I think. We're, a good part into the alphabet. If you haven't seen the other series, the other videos in the series, ABCs of Marketing, please tune in. They're all linked, pinned in the group, and you can also find them under media. And first, I am going to remind you that I have a free download. It's a PDF guide with the 5 missteps that many photographers make that attract price shoppers and drain you of your passion, profits, and joy. And we didn't get into this business to be drained the way a vampire might drain you. You don't want a vampire business. You really want a business that will uplift you and will be the dream business that you hoped for when you started this whole thing, right? Let's get right into it. But the PDF guide, just want to say it is in my description of this video. So go and grab yourself your copy. And in the meantime, we're going to get started with the letter M. And what do you think this word is going to be today? I wonder what marketing word begins with M. Marketing. And the reason why I picked marketing and not some other term is because marketing itself is very misunderstood, I find. I hear a lot about what people think marketing is, and I've read a lot of books on the subject, and I worked in the field for close to 15 years, and marketing is very broad and vague, and we tend to put a lot of things under that umbrella that actually shouldn't be there. One of my favorite books, which I'm going to reference a couple of times today, is called Piranha Marketing. I think it was published back in the 90s. So it's an older book, and it's marketing in general, not necessarily for photographers. So if you don't want to read it, then I'm your source to get some of the value out of that book. And they also have the idea that most people don't know what marketing really is. And they go through a list of things of what marketing isn't to help you understand what marketing is. And a few things that they mention that I hear mentioned a lot is marketing is not getting your name out there. It's not networking. It's not selling either. A lot of times people are like, I don't like to sell myself. I don't want to do any marketing because I don't like to sell myself. And marketing is not selling. I've said this before somewhere, probably a few places, that if you look at any department in a big company, you'll see there's a sales and marketing department or marketing and sales. If there's 2 words in it, those 2 things are separate. There's marketing and there's sales. So marketing isn't sales because marketing is what you do before a sale. And it eliminates a lot of selling behaviors that we see and that we associate with, maybe car dealerships and other kind of, sort of underhanded hard line tactics. And marketing is really not that at all. So marketing is not selling. Marketing is what you do before you sell so that you reduce your efforts to have to sell or close a sale at the end. You still have to do some selling, but marketing makes selling easier. You may be surprised it's not getting your name out there. I hear that a ton. Yeah, I want to get my name out there. How do I get my name out there? And everybody's like, well, you should be marketing. And it's a nuance, maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but really getting your name out there is more PR, public relations. And networking is networking. I mean, when you go to a networking event, you're not going to a marketing event, right? Nobody would say, well, I'm going to a marketing event. People would be like, well, what are you doing there? What do people do at marketing events? If you go to a networking event, it's clear what you are doing. You are networking, speaking, meeting other people, and talking with them about what you do, how you do it, a number of things like that. And getting your name out there is more like public relations. When we think of public relations, it's more like, you know, attention grabbing stuff, Uh, getting your name out there is more like publicity stunts, uh, trendy kind of things, so going on reels and doing some crazy dancing or whatever. That's kind of like getting your name out there. I'm not sure if that's the right message you want to send, but it is getting your name out there. But that's not marketing. It's more like PR. So just to be clear on what marketing is. So if I said what it isn't, what is it then? I did hint at it before with talking about selling, that it's the precursor to selling. It's priming people for a sale with you. It's getting out there with systems, systems that are like a train. You load the train up with people, and you ride it on the track into your station, which is your business. And so marketing is a series of trains that you are loading up with people and bringing them into your business. And ideally, they're automated and frequent, and they work to bring you leads. We talked about leads in yesterday's video, so go and check that out if you want to learn more. So what do we need for marketing? I've identified three things, and they all start with M. So I'm kind of going over a few more M words in marketing. Um, so first off, you need a meaningful message. That is your brand. Um, what is your meaningful message that is different from anybody else's meaningful message? How does it get different? Because it's coming from you. You are a different person than everybody else. You are the same in a lot of respects. Like, you have a photography business, you have a camera, you have a lens. We all do. And that doesn't differentiate you. But the layer of you and your energy on top of the camera and the lens, that is your brand. And it consists of a message, a meaningful message. So, what is it that you want to put out in the world? What is it that you feel driven or compelled to bring out into the world in terms of your photography? There's all sorts of ways to do it. Some people are romantic and love and connection. Other people are driven by social issues like unnatural beauty standards, documenting, the what's going on in life, unaffordability, overconsumption, over media use, lots of things. So your brand is derived from the energy of you and your clients and your business model, and you have to create a meaningful message. So capturing memories, another M, is not necessarily very meaningful, because if you flip through a dictionary and opened it to P, the definition would be somebody who takes, capturing memories is somebody who takes photographs for a living or something like that. And it's not unique. So I can do it, you can do it, a dozen other photographers in your saturated market can do it. So capturing memories is not meaningful. I encourage you to dig deeper to find a more meaningful message of what drives you and what kind of art you want to put out into the world and how you want to serve people with that art. So you got to dig a little bit deeper. Go through my blog posts. I've got a lot of content on being able to develop your talent stack, for example, and ways to market that you wouldn't even have thought of. That helps get the creative juice going on the meaning part of that. So marketing, first part is you need a meaningful message. Then you need a medium. A medium is a format, is a channel, a distribution method. We have websites, we have blogs, we have YouTube, we have Pinterest, we have socials, email, we have community partnerships, lots of stuff. And If you're only on one medium, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. So if you have started your business on Facebook and you're posting on Facebook and Instagram, and that's all you're doing, your medium may not be sufficient. Um, and one of the reasons why is the next part too. But you need a medium. You should have more than one medium to cover all your bases. And you want to be everywhere, right? You want to be everywhere where your client is, and you want to get that meaningful message out to them. So you have to consider the mediums that you're going to use and make sure you're not limiting yourself. The third piece is membership. Now, I'm using that loosely just so I could create an M out of it and have some alliteration. But it's your audience. Your membership is your audience who's coming closer to you from the worldwide internet, who is anonymous at first, and then they get brought in through your engaging content and become part of your ecosystem through your email marketing or liking or following you on socials, that sort of thing. You need those three key things in place in order to create your marketing train that will bring people from the public into your station. You need a meaningful message, you need a medium to do it with, and you need a membership, meaning an audience. And I talked about the audience in the video series with the letter I for ideal client. You want to identify who your audience is, and you don't want everybody. We're also going to talk about that in the letter N. But when you have those three things, you have a message, you have a way to disseminate that message through a medium, and then you have a membership to disseminate it to. A lot of times, your membership, the makeup of your membership, will determine the medium. So if your ideal client is a fashion savvy bride, Pinterest is a great medium. LinkedIn, not so much, right? So your membership helps to tailor your medium, and then you take your meaningful message and you get that out into those channels. And when people feel your message resonating with them, they will engage with you and come closer to your business. And that's what I mean by priming the sale. So if you think about that bride, that fashion savvy bride, you're not selling her because you're not doing anything to sell. You're putting out inspo on Pinterest, right? It's not selling, it's marketing. So you're presenting yourself and your services to her so that she can discover you, right? And then when she likes what she sees, she moves closer to you. And you're not doing any selling. You're not, no hardline tactics. You're saying, you're showing beautiful imagery and you're saying, come see my website and I'll show you how beautiful I can make your wedding day. And that meaningful message of whatever it is that you want to put out into the world, say it's romance, right? So that fashion savvy bride, you're like, talking to her in terms of like making the most beautiful romantic with these, showing these dresses, and so her fashion sense is tingling, and Pinterest is probably the right medium, and you've got a meaningful message, and boom, you've got a connection, and that person moves closer to you in your business, which is one step closer to booking. Name your systems. So this is something that Piranha Marketing does very well. They have a whole system outlined in their book. As I said, it's not necessarily targeted to photographers, so it might be a tough read for you, but check it out if you want to. It's a great book. But they name their systems. So they've got client conversion systems, which are once a lead gets into your door and you're converting them into a sale. You've got autopilot advertising systems, which are, a combination of paid ads or email marketing or something like that, to promote yourself. Then they have things like champion creator systems. So the way you do that is by giving a stellar client experience and creating champions out of former clients in order for them to promote your business when you're without you, essentially. So you're creating a crowd of people that will spread your meaningful message in their mediums to their membership, and you create an optimized or a leveraged effect for your business. And that's a system, Then let's see, lifetime value systems. So once you have a client in the door, what are you doing to engage them again for a repeat um, performance of coming back to you? And when I say systems, it sounds daunting, but it really isn't. I mean, have you ever made a flow chart, basic flow chart with little boxes and arrows? That's a marketing system, right? So you say, I'm going to create an email. Okay, email number one is going to go out to my clients and thank them for how valued they are. Number two, 3 days later, I'm going to send them another email and I'm going to say, because I value you so much, here's an offer for holidays where the whole print gallery is 30% off. Go and get some amazing products. Uh, 3 days later, there's another email that encourages the final sale. So it's a flow. It's a flow chart of simply actions that you will take within each system to get people moving, get people loaded onto the train, get the train on the track, and get it chugging in your direction. So you can name your systems, and there are systems. There's a whole system because people find you and then go through a process, and within each of those process pieces there's a flow to make, right? There's also what they call margin magnifiers. So those are upsells and upgrades. So after you've delivered a wedding gallery, you might decide to send an email asking for a testimonial, and then you may ask them to upgrade to an album. So that's a margin magnifier. Um, and then after 5 weddings, you increase your prices by 5% because you have more experience under your belt. And then the same amount of weddings is getting you more money. So then you've got a margin magnifier. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope it clarifies a little bit of what I believe marketing truly is. And I think it helps just refine what your thoughts are about it to help you get better at it, really. Okay, so for N, we're going to talk about niche. And that one, just like guarantees, which I talked about in a previous video, niching strikes fear in the heart of photographers because they say with horror, and today is apt for horror because it's Halloween, I can't possibly exclude anybody. I want to shoot everything, or I'm going to get bored if I don't, if I shoot only one niche or genre. And there's a lot of talk like that, but in essence, I mean, if you really believe that, okay. But I'm not here to convince you or sell you on anything. I'm here to impart the knowledge that I have gained. You can take it or you can leave it. But I will argue that a niche is still big enough for you to have a lot of business, and it doesn't exclude. What it does is it makes your services exclusive to the membership that you want to work with. So going back to that key phrase in the letter M, membership are the people who want to interact with you, who really get the meaningful message that you're sending out. Do you really want somebody who doesn't like that meaningful message? If you send out a message of romance and, big love and connection, do you really want somebody who like the groom who hates marriage and is only doing it because his wife is forced or his fiance is forcing him to? It's not a client that you want, right? He doesn't resonate with the meaningful message. He thinks romance is a crock and should remain in a novel with Fabio on the cover. Um, so you don't want people outside of that membership that you craft for yourself. And what that does is helps create your niche. So when you look at what a niche may be, it could be broader. So even if you're living in a small town and you are you have a studio on Main Street, that could still be a niche. Your niche is a small studio on Main Street, which means you can shoot many things because that's the niche, right? So the niche wouldn't be maybe that you go on location and shoot weddings. because you're the small town Main Street photographer. But within the Main Street photographer, you still have so much that you can shoot in your studio. You can shoot branding and headshots, newborns, families, holiday sessions, like themed sessions, all sorts of things. You wouldn't get bored, but you would, focus on business coming into your studio. And there's enough of that going around that you don't need to look at other types of things at the moment. And just like we don't want to be friends with everybody, we don't want to serve everybody. So a niche serves to gently move you towards the people that you want to work with, and gently removes those other ones that you really don't want to work with. Um, and it just creates problems down the line. So um, I'm going to talk about two instances. I think I talked about it in a blog post somewhere, so I'm just going to repeat it because it is really, I think it kind of brings the point home of a niche. Years ago, here in Montreal, we have an annual jazz fest, and I was living not in Montreal at the time, but in Toronto. And we came in for Jazz Fest with a few friends. And I met the girlfriend of a friend of ours. And I found out she was doing a PhD thesis she was a kinesiology major, and she was doing a PhD thesis on a bone, on like one bone, like this first knuckle of a pinky finger. I mean, honestly, when I heard that, I was like, what? Like, I don't think you can get any more niche than that. And can you imagine that there is plenty to fill a PhD thesis on this bone in your pinky finger? Why? Because we don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes, but rabbit holes are very, very deep. If you get into your niche, you might be super surprised at how deep that hole goes. And you may want to drop down into it for that adventure. One of the things that she was studying is this bone in relation to, say, volleyball players. My husband's a volleyball player, and he actually had a pinky injury. So think about all the sports, the other sports that may have pinky injuries, like basketball, volleyball, anything else that requires fingers and hands, right? And my husband went up to block a ball, and the ball came straight down on his finger and completely dislocated his finger. And so she had plenty to work with because it had your fingers are extremely sensitive. And if you can't use your fingers for sports, then it really hinders you, especially if you're becoming a pro athlete, right? And so you might start to see the significance of studying that bone in the pinky finger because it has a lot of implications on sports injuries and recovery and all the rest of it. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. The hands have a lot of bones in them, I learned. But that's an example. She had plenty to work with. She wasn't bored. There was plenty to work with. And one might think that even studying the hand would be a niche. But no, it had to be a knuckle on the pinky finger. Uh, and that was still enough. So if you think that there's not enough in your niche to keep you from getting bored, I suggest you pick a niche that you might be interested in and do a deep dive. Do some research on the internet and see where it can go. Just start searching and start following links and that kind of thing, and you might find a vast, amazing world of things and ways that you can shoot, and new ideas and borrowing from other places to make it really, really fantastic. And one of the things about niching is that people like people who are fantastic at what they do, who are experts and authorities in what they do. So if I injured my pinky, I know who I would go to for help, right? I wouldn't go to the hand specialist even. I wouldn't go to a general practitioner or the ER. I would call up this girl and be like, how do I fix my pinky finger so that I can continue with my sport? You would go to her, right? So that's pretty amazing. And so on kind of that same level, I have a story about my osteopath. So I have what's called TMJ, temporomandibular joint disorder. So I have a misaligned jaw, so it clicks and it moves the wrong ways, and it affects my speech. And I get headaches and my muscle cramps, lots of things, right? My bite isn't correct. It creates some horrible problems. And if you're a fellow TMJ sufferer, you will know the suffering. And I saw in local community groups a name being thrown around for osteopathy for TMJ specifically. So I, first off, never knew that an osteopath could help me. I'd been to dentists and I had orthodontics done when I was a kid, which I think created the problem when I had braces. And I had mouth guards. I did all sorts of things, and nothing seemed to help. And I've been, sort of plagued with this problem for decades. And so I saw this name being thrown around, and he only did TMJ. And I'm like, how does an osteopath work TMJ? But I guess I understood because it has to do with the bones and the muscles and, alignments and things like that. I always went to osteopaths for like, shoulders, back. Um, so that was a learning experience for me. And I was like, you know what? This guy is being recommended only for TMJ. That's all he does at this point. And he was a general osteopath during the start of his career, but then he became interested and did that rabbit hole dive into TMJ and realized that that's a vast enough field that he would specialize in. And so I called his office, and it took 6 months, 6 months to get the consult, the initial appointment. And then once I saw him and he confirmed that I have a pretty serious case and it's been a long time, so everything's kind of like locked in, he recommended that I come back very often for the first little while, like once every few weeks for the first few appointments before then stretching it out because we needed to do some work. And yet I could not get an appointment because he was so booked up that he'd be like, he'd go to the secretary and be like, can you schedule Lucian for, in 2 weeks or something like that? And she's like, well, she has to go on the wait list. And then once in a while, I'd get a phone call that I got a spot, and I'd have to go running and change my whole schedule because the spot opened up. Otherwise, I would have had to wait for another few months and might make regression where I'd previously made gains. So I couldn't believe it. All he sees all day long are TMJ patients for osteopathy. He doesn't have to take anybody else, and his days are full. So first off, he's in massive demand because it's a problem, right? For us, it might not be a problem we're solving, like with a wedding, but there are problems within weddings that we can solve better than other people. So the problem, the pain point isn't the wedding. The pain point is like planning for the wedding or choosing a venue or not having somebody to talk to who knows what they're doing and has done it before. So he was in demand because he specialized in TMJ. So I wasn't about to call another osteopath who had more availability and say, do you do TMJ too? Because I didn't think that they would be able to help me the way he helped me. Everything was all completely attuned, and it has a lot to do with like my head, the neck, and not only the joints, but my neck, my back, my shoulders, lots of things. Being a photographer does not help because all the equipment and whatever. So all these problems just continue to contribute to the TMJ. And he knows this because he studied it and because he niched in it. He was charging more money. And I'm happy to pay it because I get results more quickly and more effectively than going to another osteopath who might have done a little TMJ here and there, but really doesn't specialize in it. So I save some money, but also they see me, their treatments are not as intense, or they don't need to see me as often because they don't know how important it is to maintain that progress or whatever it is, because they haven't done that deep dive into that rabbit hole. And so it's worth the money. And he can charge more, and not only because he has that intimate knowledge, but because he is in demand. So if you are in demand, you can charge more money. And you should, because your time is valuable. That deep dive that you've done is an asset. It's an asset that is appreciating in value the more you know, right? So if you invest in a lot of sort of middle of the road stocks and bonds, you might gain a little bit, but you don't get that far, right? The dividends are not coming as quickly. But if you specialize and you niche and you go deep, deep into something, maybe the risk is greater. Not so much risk with him. Like maybe you would have to, maybe the TMJ patient train would dry up. I doubt it. Um, the guy is busy probably until he retires, right? So it's also rewarding when you start to master your craft in a particular area. It doesn't mean that you can't ever shoot other things. After I went full time, going over a year ago now, I've done social media shooting for a hotel chain 2 summers ago, last summer, and that's not weddings or family. But I did it because weddings, the deep dive that I've done on weddings can translate to being able to do other things. So a niche does not mean you can't do other things. It just means that you are positioning yourself within your marketing message, your meaningful message, and to your membership through your mediums, that you are a specialist in one thing. But if somebody asks you, you might not put it on your website that I do social media events, but I put it on LinkedIn because it was for a hotel. So I put that there, and it's contained, and it doesn't detract from me having a niche of weddings and family. It's not plastered all over my site, but it is on my channel for LinkedIn because corporate clients might find me there and might hire me to do their social media lifestyle photographs as well. Does not mean you can't shoot some things sometimes other than what your niche is. But what it means is that you're dedicating yourself to mastery in a particular area. And when you actually do that, it does help you with other areas, as weddings have helped me with some corporate clients. So niching is not what you think it is. Hopefully, I can help you understand that there's a lot of reward in it, and that it just helps to make you a better photographer overall, right? I also do some landscapes. I'm selling a calendar this year of some of my travels, and doing a deep dive on my niche has helped me with landscape because I look for things differently. So I might not be a landscape photographer. I don't think I need to do that, but it helps me move over into another niche temporarily with success without compromising my bread and butter stuff, right? Okay, so I hope this has helped. I hope Lucifer was a good companion to you today for um, the letters M and N. And tune in tomorrow for the next two letters. And in the meantime, if you're struggling and you need an instant impact in your business, download the guide. I promise you there's a ton of value in there. The link is in the description of the video, and get yours today. It is absolutely free, and I wrote it specifically for the purpose of it being free to add value to your business and to help you overcome imposters and struggles. So, happy Halloween, everybody. Go out with your kids, be safe, have fun, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.